welcome the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Knowledge Exchange, Professor Linda Rosenman.
Chancellor, professional doctoral degrees are conferred on those who have undertaken a combination of advanced coursework and have completed original research, resulting in a significant contribution to knowledge in the relevant professional field. The work generally includes a critical review of the literature, a systematic form of inquiry, and the preparation of a thesis reporting the outcomes of the research. I am honoured to present the following candidate for the conferral of the degree of Doctor of Education. Chancellor, I present to you Seyed Alavi Sheriffdeen, who by reason of a thesis entitled Youth, Community and Education, a study on Australian Muslim youth, has satisfied the requirements for admission to the degree of Doctor of Education. This study investigated the identity, education, and expectations of Australian-born Muslim youth from Sunni Muslim migrant communities in Melbourne. All youth involved in this study saw their future as challenging and hopeful. Their sense of Australian identity remains solid amid ongoing challenges related to negative portrayals of Islam since 9/11. Seyed's principal supervisor was Professor Nicola Yelland, and his associate supervisor was Dr. Marcel Cacciatolo. Chancellor, Dr. Seyed Alavi Sheriffdeen. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of the candidates for the Doctor of Education. It is now my privilege to present the candidates for the PhD. University doctoral degrees are conferred on those who have undertaken original research, resulting in a significant contribution to knowledge in the relevant discipline. The work generally includes a critical review of the literature, a systematic form of inquiry, and the preparation of a major thesis reporting the outcomes of the research. Chancellor, I present to you Julie Diane Gross McAdam, who by reason of a thesis entitled The Relationship Between Art and Well-Being in Individuals Living with Dementia, has satisfied the requirements for admission to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. This thesis brings together existing and new research relating to the relationship between art, dementia, and well-being. Julie has analysed the components of art activities and has described the engagement of the individuals in her study with the production of a collaborative artwork for permanent display. Julie's principal supervisor was Professor Maureen Ryan, and her associate supervisor was Dr. Neil Hooley. Chancellor, Dr. Julie Diane Gross McAdam. Chancellor, I present to you Fiona Blackburn Henderson, who by reason of a thesis, wait for it, entitled Connecting Higher Education and the Chinese Workplace, What Makes a Chinese Graduate with an Australian Qualification Employable in China, has satisfied the requirements for admission to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Fiona's research into the Chinese workplace and the perceived relevance of an Australian qualification is very timely and long overdue. She has provided us with a critical and engaging comparison of two different educational and employment systems, namely China and Australia, and her work contributes to our understanding of transnational education and graduate attributes. Fiona's principal supervisor was Associate Professor Tarkan McKenna, and her associate supervisor was Dr. Darko Hasler. Chancellor, Dr. Fiona Blackburn Henderson. Chancellor, I present to you Valerie Jean McGowan, who by reason of a thesis entitled The Effectiveness of Quality Control Systems in Australia and Japan, a Comparative Analysis, has satisfied the requirements for admission to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Japan is the world leader in quality control systems, well ahead of the USA and Australia. This pioneering study compares systems in Japan and Australia using theory, literature, and case studies. It concludes that Japan's superior performance is based on more formal procedures and an emphasis on engineering staff and on technical rather than social aspects. Valerie's principal supervisor was Professor Peter Sheehan. Chancellor, Dr. Valerie Jean McGowan. Chancellor, I present to you Ibrahim Abdou Saadi, who by reason of a thesis entitled An Examination of the Learning Styles of Saudi Preparatory School Students Who Are High or Low in Reading Achievement, has satisfied the requirements for admission to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The research incorporated a quantitative approach within two separate studies that examined the learning style preferences and reading achievement skills of preparatory school students in Saudi Arabia. The outcomes of the studies highlighted that students from both the high and low reading achievement groups typically preferred multimodal learning styles, but that this was often not the main teaching approach that was being used. Ibrahim's principal supervisor was Dr. Anthony Watt, and his associate supervisor was Professor Maureen Ryan. Chancellor, Dr. Ibrahim Abdou Saadi.